You've felt it before. That pressure to fill every silence, to explain your actions, to justify your decisions when you've been challenged. The moment a woman creates dead air, most men rush to fill it and somehow always end up saying too much, revealing their hand or weakening their position. She asks why they're going out tonight. Guys will start with a simple answer, but her silence makes them nervous. So they keep talking, they elaborate, they justify, they apologize. And with each additional word, they feel her respect diminishing. Or maybe it's at work. The boss questions a decision. Instead of standing firm, most guys launch into a desperate monologue of explanations. By the end, even they don't believe what their choice was anymore. What if I told you that the most powerful tool in your arsenal is not what you say, but what you strategically leave unsaid? Welcome to the Port Car Method, where I help men transform from verbal oversharers into masters of strategic silence. Men whose quiet confidence commands more power than other men's desperate verbal flailings. The truth is, most men have been conditioned to believe that communication means constant talking, that leadership means speaking all the answers, that strength means explaining yourself. Society has programmed us to fill every silence and to over-communicate, to seek validation through explanation. But look at the men who command genuine respect. They speak less, so their words carry weight. They don't rush to fill silences. They don't feel compelled to explain themselves. They understand that silence isn't emptiness. When used strategically, silence is power. Strategic silence is not about being mute or unresponsive. It's about recognizing when words will diminish your position where silence would enhance it. It's about understanding that every unnecessary word spoken is potentially a weakness exposed, a position compromised, leverage surrendered. Let me show you what happens when you master strategic silence. First, you create mystery. Human nature is drawn to what it doesn't fully understand. When you don't reveal everything about your thoughts, motivations, and plans, you become more intriguing. This is especially powerful in romantic relationships where predictability kills attraction. You command respect and desire when you are no longer an open book. You are perceived as a man with depth and mystery. You have to want that in every aspect of your life. Second, you force others to fill the void. When you refuse to rush into an explanation, others will often talk themselves into your position. They'll reveal their hand, expose their insecurities, or even talk themselves out of objections, all while you maintain your composure and gather valuable information. Third, you demonstrate unshakable confidence. A man who can sit comfortably in silence, who doesn't feel compelled to justify himself, signals to everyone around him that he's secure in his position and knows his worth. I worked with a client who was constantly being disrespected by his girlfriend. Every decision he made was questioned. Every plan he proposed was met with resistance. A methodical attack on his confidence and masculinity, which she had made into a habit, learned from her mother's treatment of her father, no doubt. His instincts? Talk more, explain more, convince her, fail, do what she wanted, roll over, play dead. It's not his fault. In fact, if you see yourself in his actions, it's not your fault either. We have been taught exactly the wrong approach our entire lives. We have been programmed by a society that hates masculinity to believe that more words equal more understanding. Not even maybe. I taught him the deft application of strategic silence. The next time he made a decision about a weekend plan, he simply stated his choice once, clearly and confidently, then shut up. When she pushed back, instead of launching into his usual defensive monologue, he just looked at her calmly and said nothing, head tilted, a questioning look on his face. He told me the silence made her visibly uncomfortable. She filled it with more objections, which he met with the same calm silence. Eventually, after yelling at him to say something, he said, "I've nothing more to say on the subject. These are our plans." She ran out of resistance. Not only did they do what he had planned, he has set her on the path of not trying to pick him apart at every turn. One moment of strategic silence accomplished what months of explanations never could. Now, you're probably thinking, what if this backfires? What if she gets angry? What if my boss thinks I'm being insubordinate? Those are natural concerns. But strategic silence, properly executed, doesn't come across as defiance or disrespect. It reads as confidence and self-assurance. But mastering strategic silence isn't just about remaining quiet. It's about knowing exactly when to deploy it for maximum effect. Use silence when you're being tested, when someone challenges your decision or your authority. Stating your position once and then remaining silent forces them to accept your frame or continue arguing against your silence, which makes them look kind of stupid. Deploy silence after making a request or a proposal. State what you want clearly, then shut up. The first person to speak after a proposal has gained the disadvantage. Use silence when you've been accused. Nothing communicates innocence or strength more powerfully than calm silence in the face of false accusations. Desperate denials sound guilty, even if you're not. Employ silence when negotiating. I love this. Once you name your price or state your terms, shut up. Even if the silence stretches uncomfortably, the other party will often negotiate against themselves just to break the tension. And finally, use silence to emphasize your points. Allow your listeners a moment or three to absorb the information you just gave them. So never be in a rush to follow one sentence with another. Here's something you know but you're not aware of. Slow, measured, bitten off words are the default speech pattern of people who are desperate to be understood, and the habitual verbal cadence of men who are secure in their masculine frame. You've probably noticed how the loudest men in the room are rarely the most respected. You've seen how those who constantly explain themselves seem desperate for approval. Deep down, you have always known that true power doesn't need to announce itself constantly. Sharks, it has been said, never need to tell anyone they're sharks. The execution matters too, where silence must come from a place of strength, not avoidance. Maintain eye contact. Keep your body language open and relaxed. Breathe steadily. This isn't about appearing angry or stubborn. It's about being completely comfortable with the silence. PUAs, pickup artists, and female dating coaches are teaching men to use manipulative lines and rehearsed routines. They're missing a fundamental truth about masculine dominance. Those techniques might get short-term results, but they collapse under pressure because they're not authentic. Strategic silence gives you an invisible edge the pickup artists and the relationship guru babes cannot touch. Now, would it be ridiculous if you pause the video right here, hit that like button, subscribe to my channel, leave me a comment sharing a time when you talk too much, or maybe when you were silent and it worked effectively? I will answer every relevant question because I read every comment every time. What I've shared today is just the beginning. If you're serious about mastering not just strategic silence, but all aspects of masculine presence and influence, consider joining our exclusive mentoring program. We work with a limited number of men to personally guide them through this transformation. This isn't just theory, it's a premium methodology that's worked for hundreds of men who were once trapped in the cycle of over-explanation and under-respect. The first call, of course, is always free. 15 minutes where we discuss your specific situation and determine if our high-value program is the right fit for you. So visit Port Car Merchants right now and schedule that call. That's portkarmerchants.com. You can also go there and download our free bonus guide, which reveals secrets you can only learn at Port Car Merchants. Learn the Port Car method, my friend. Never be lied to or cheated on again.